What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Another video means another dopamine high, because I had to buy something to feel something, and today we're back at it with another review. And for today's review, we are looking at Jazwares' Halo, the Spartan Collection Belos Heran, continuing the Wave 8 train here on the channel. And all I can say is, for the Spartan Collection, this is probably the most interesting figure that we've seen so far throughout all 8 waves. So at any point during or after the video, you do realize you want to pick up this interesting figure for yourself, you're going to have to get off your lazy ass and go walk to your local GameStop and get this figure for $21.99, because it still seems like there are no online options for purchasing these figures, and it seems like that Walmart and Target have completely removed their Halo sections and there are no signs of them putting them back. So right now GameStop is our only hope for picking up these figures. And with that all being said, let's move on into the review. So starting off with the packaging, it's our standard Spartan Collection packaging that we've seen since Wave 7. Here is the figure with everything included. We have a nice little photo on the side, and on the back we have a nice larger colored photo of our figure, brief description of everything that is included, and then on the bottom we have Wave 8. Still trying to find Douglas. Halo 5 Chief is in my collection though. And with that being said, let's open up this packaging and get into the review. So starting off with the head articulation, we can get a nice 360-degree rotation, and then we can have him look up and down a really good amount. I'm starting to like to see this range of motion in the Spartan Collection, so very happy with that. And then of course we really can't get him to tilt his head side to side, but we can still have him look all sorts of directions to express himself in a variety of ways. So very happy with the head articulation on this figure, no complaints coming from me. And one thing I want to throw in is be careful with the plume on the top of his head. It bends very easily, and obviously we don't want that breaking off. And then when it comes to the arm articulation of this figure, of course we can rotate the arm 360 degrees up and over, and then we can spin it here 360 degrees as well. And then when it comes to the bringing up of the arm, it's kind of limited due to the shoulder plate, but it can still be brought up a decent amount nonetheless. And then you can open it up a little bit better, so still glad to see that range there, so no complaints when it comes to opening up his arm. And then when it comes to the tricep bicep area, it can be rotated. You can't really get a 360-degree rotation out of it because of the shoulder piece, but you can still move it nonetheless. And then moving down to the elbow, we can get that nice new elbow bend that we are seeing with Wave 8, which I'm very happy to see. So they can, get their forearms above the 90-degree mark, so nice to see that there. And then of course for the hand, we can rotate the hands 360 degrees and bend the wrist however we please, so very happy to see that there. And overall very happy with the arm articulation on this figure. Again, no complaints from me. And unsurprisingly, again, the torso articulation for this figure is very bad, doesn't want to move at all. If it does move at all, I don't know why Jazwares won't fix this. Hopefully with Wave 10 they do give us better torso articulation for these figures. And then finally, looking at the leg articulation, we can rotate the leg 360 degrees, which is always nice to see. And then of course we can get a split kind of out of this figure. It's not a full split, maybe half of a split, but the range for opening up the legs is still good nonetheless. And then of course we can bring up the legs a good amount, so you can have him sit in a chair or off the ledge of a cliff or whatever you want him to sit on. So there's that going for us. And then when it comes to the knee bend, it is the good knee bend that we saw come back in Wave 7. Very happy with it. Looks organic, feels organic, no complaints coming from me when it comes to the knee bend. Very happy with that range. And then when it comes to the foot, you can rotate that 360 degrees and bend the ankle however you please. And then of course you can kind of just bend the toe however you want. And for this armor, it is kind of like a lion's foot, which is very interesting design for Spartan armor. I understand this is non-canon though, so it is what it is. So my overall thoughts on the articulation for this figure are, I'm very pleased with it. I'm very happy with the articulation in the head, arms, and leg region. What is killing me though is the torso articulation, or the lack of there being. For the longest time now that we've been seeing this, really bad torso articulation, and hopefully with Wave 7 kickstarting the improvement of the quality of these figures, when Wave 9, whenever that comes out, we see Jazwares tackle and improve the torso articulation, because that would be really nice to see. But besides the torso articulation on this figure, like I said, I enjoy the head, arms, and leg regions. No complaints coming from me. Articulation is very solid in those areas of the body. So kickstarting features and accessories, of course. Oh, whoa, my microphone's over here. So kickstarting features and accessories, of course, we have the swappable hands to hold all that stuff, and we have 7 hands included. We have 2 holding hands, 2 trigger fingers, 2 open hands, and 1 closed fist. And then for our first weapon included, we do have the assault rifle. This is based off the Halo 3 model, and this is actually our second time seeing it in the Spartan Collection, for our first time being with the Combat Evolved Master Chief, because in CEA they do use the Halo 3 assault rifle for the model. But besides that, I think that Jazwares did a great job with this assault rifle. Nothing has changed except for the paint job. Obviously they are putting a skin on this assault rifle to match the theme of the figure, and this skin is called Vexing Tomorrow, which came in the same update as the Belos armor. So very cool to see, them go take that extra step in making the assault rifle match the figure, and I think they did a great job with the paint job, especially with all the patterns on the top. So overall, very happy with the visual execution of this assault rifle. And then for our second accessory, we have the Lion Heart Shield. Now this isn't a weapon or anything that you can use in game. It's a back accessory that's strictly cosmetic, but because this is an action figure, we can do whatever the fuck we want with our figures. We can actually have our Belos Spartan hold the shield and use it as a shield. So I thought it was really cool that Jazwares decided to include this with our figure, and the visual presentation is stunning. There's the pattern that goes along the edge of the shield, and that is just impressive line work there. And then of course there's some wear and tear, scratches, paint chipping off, showing that the shield has been used in combat before, and I just really like that extra touch, really bringing the shield to life. So again, I think Jazwares did such a great job at executing the shield, and I appreciate them adding it in the first place, because they didn't have to. They could have just given us the assault rifle and another weapon, but they went that extra step and gave us a cool accessory that we see in game. I almost completely forgot to show you how to put the shield on your Spartan. So you just simply pop off the handle, which works with a simple peg hole system. We've seen it 1,000 times already. So yeah, all you do is take off the handle, and then you wrap the handle around the Spartan's forearm, and then you plug the shield in, and there you go. It is on all nice and tight, and now the Spartan is wearing the shield and using the shield as a shield instead of having it on his back like a back accessory. So I gotta give credit where credit is due and give Jazwares that credit of taking full advantage of this back accessory, knowing that we'd want to use it and put it on our Spartan's arm as well. So again, great job Jazwares for thinking about that and taking full advantage of this back accessory. And for our third and most difficult to pronounce accessory, we have the Tigidus Dory. I've gone to multiple different resources, I've watched multiple different videos, and I just can't, they're always a different answer. I'm trying my best. And just like the Lionheart Shield, this is a back accessory that we see in game. It's not an item or a weapon you could use, and I really enjoy Jazwares taking advantage of these back accessories that are items that you'd be able to hold and use, and actually letting us utilize them with our figures. Granted, how are they going to implement this as a permanent back accessory? But again, I really enjoy Jazwares putting some thought into this figure's accessory, and allowing us to use some of the back accessories that we see in game. And when it comes to the visual execution of this accessory, I think Jazwares did a great job with the sculpt, all the different line work, the wrapping around the handle, making sure they got the points of the blade on the spear down. So very happy with that. When it comes to the paint job though, the in-game model is a little more shinier and metallic because it's made out of metal, whereas the figure's spear is a little more flat, which I'm not gonna be too anal about, because this accessory still resembles the aesthetic that the in-game model is going for. I just kind of noticed that the in-game model is a little more metallic than what we are seeing here, but overall very happy with its visual execution, and I'm again very happy that Jazwares is taking advantage of these accessories that we see in game and allowing us to utilize them with our figure. And then of course, if we want to display our weapons on our figure, starting off with the thigh piece, you just take out the little square, put the peg into the peg hole of the weapon, and then put the square in the square hole. But there you go, your assault rifle is now nice and snug on your Spartan's thigh, because that is the only accessory that would really go on the thigh here. And then of course, if you want to undo what you've done, you just put the peg in the peg hole on the thigh, and there you go. And of course, if you want to display the weapons on your Spartan's back, the formula is the same as what we saw on the thigh. You just take out the piece of plastic, turn it around, put the peg into the peg hole of whatever accessory. In this case, it is the assault rifle that is included, and the assault rifle stays on nice and snug, so it looks like it is, you know, magnetically attached to his back. And then that isn't the only accessory that can go on the back of our Spartan. You see the shield also has a peg hole in the handle, so you can just plug the shield in the back of the Spartan, and now it is the proper back accessory that we see in game. But also we can put the spear through the handle of the shield, and the spear will stay nice and snug on the back of your Spartan, so you can display all three accessories on your figure, you know, the sword, the spear and shield on the back, and the assault rifle in his hands. Then obviously if you don't want anything on his back, you just take that peg out, turn it around, and plug it into the back of your figure. Before I start giving my objective thoughts and opinions on the visual presentation of this figure, I wanted to give y'all some factual information, which is what the armor that makes up this figure, because on the packaging it says Belos Heran, which is only the helmet. Everything else is different, and I feel like it'd be cool to break that down and show you what each piece of armor this Spartan is wearing, because it isn't a Belos Heran set of armor or anything like that. Belos Heran is referring to the helmet and the helmet only. So with that being said, let's break down this Spartan. And getting the fucking obvious one out of the way, and that is the helmet being titled Belos Heran, which we see on the packaging of this figure. And then breaking away from Heran, we have the shoulders being the Belos Dart Breaker shoulders. And then for the arms, we have the Belos Lion Mark. And then for the chest piece, it is the Belos Lokagos, which looks like it's a part of the Lion Marked set, but at the end of the day, I don't name these things. 343 did, so it is what it is. And then for the final piece of armor, we have the legs, which is the Belos Lion Mark. So that is pretty much all the different armors that this figure is made up of. And I didn't really cover the undersuit, but I'm 99% sure the undersuit is the chainmail undersuit that they have to offer. But yeah, after that, that is, like I said, everything that this figure is made up of. Belos Heran is just the helmet that the Spartan is wearing. So yeah, no, the more you know. So with that now out of the way, I can give my general thoughts and opinions on the visual presentation of this figure, and to give y'all a short answer, I love what they did here. They knocked it out of the park with the sculpt and paint job of this figure. It's such a busy design, and they handled it perfectly. But to get a little more in depth, starting from literally the top, which would be the plume, I think the plume looks great. They could have just made one solid piece of red plastic that curves, but they actually, you know, took their time and got, you know, the line work on the side of it for each individual feather. So I thought that looks really good. And then the leather work, or imitation leather work, I should say, looks great throughout the armor on the chest piece, the shoulders, and even around the waist. But what really caught my attention with the leather work was on the shoulders, because there's multiple flaps of leather that we see across that shoulder piece, and I think they layered it beautifully. It looks organic, it looks fluent, and you know, they even got line work. The engravings on that look great, so I just love what they did with the leather. And then looking at the undersuit for a second, it's chainmail, so they had to sculpt each individual chain, and I think they handled that perfectly as well. It looks like actual chainmail. And then looking at all the lion heads on the armor, those are very third-dimensional pieces or accessories that we see on the armor, so I love how Jazwares handled that. It just looks really great. And then everything that I complimented about the leather and the plume and the lion heads, it can be said about the rest of the armor as well, even if it's just the simple forearms or, you know, the thigh pieces of the armor. I think that the line work and just the engravings on them look amazing. And then I think Jazwares did a phenomenal job with the paint job. The choice of colors was really good. It's really just screams Roman soldier, with the gold, the brown, and red really just coming together. And even the bronze on the chainmail really just adds a little bit of flair that I like on this figure. So again, Jazwares did a great job with the paint job. Nothing feels off or looks off. It just kind of looks good. I'm not even gonna bitch about, you know, there's a lack of, you know, grit that I like to see when, you know, referring to these figures. I say that a lot in most of my Spartan collection videos, but I feel like there is grit with this figure in its own special way. So I have to give Jazwares credit where credit is due, and really making me fall in love with this very different looking Halo figure. So if you couldn't tell, I really enjoy the visual presentation of this figure. Jazwares really gave it their all and knocked this figure out of the park. Now with that all out of the way, let's put our boy into scale with some size comparisons. Starting off, we have the Jazwares World of Halo Infinite Master Chief. Then we have NECA's Alien Big Chap, NECA's Predator 2 Elder Predator aka Greyback, Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Imperial Stormtrooper. And finally, we have McFarlane's The Doomslayer. And here we are at the turntable segment of the video. This is pretty much where I go what I like, dislike, pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, give my general thoughts and opinions, and give y'all something to go down in the comments section below and, get a conversation started. And I'll most likely reply to y'all's comments because obviously I like talking about this stuff. And usually I get into the sour first and I talk about what I dislike about the figure, but honestly the only thing that I dislike about this figure is the torso articulation or the lack of there being, but that's an issue we've been seeing in the Spartan collection for a very long time now, so that's just something we're all used to seeing here. And if I was being super nitpicky, I could talk about how the spear isn't metallic like it is in game, but I'm not going to, that's whatever. So yeah, there isn't really anything I dislike about this figure, it's just the torso articulation that we're used to seeing. But objectively, I don't think there's anything else wrong with this figure. The only actual issue I have is the torso articulation. Everything else feels fine, looks fine. But if I wanted to be more subjective, I could be like, oh, well, I'm not really big on the whole Roman aesthetic. Well, me personally, I think it's a cool design. I'm not going to wear it in game. I like how my Spartan looks in game already. So I'm not going to swap it out for any of these, non-canon, Roman soldier looking armor pieces. But someone might not get this figure because they think this looks absolutely ridiculous and stupid and wishes that this figure was replaced with a figure that looks more cool or is actual canon to the Halo universe, as opposed to someone who actually, like myself, thinks that this is cool looking despite how goofy the idea might be. So, and even if you don't like the yellows or the reds or just how this figure looks, you can't deny that Jazwares was given a goal to recreate this, and they recreated it really well. They recreated it nearly perfectly. So even if you don't like how this looks, you have to admit that, objectively speaking, they did do their job. They created this. It looks good because it looks exactly like what they sought out to make. So there's that at least. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little too ranty. I'm starting to sway into a different topic of conversation, and let's just use this as a segue into the more positive things, which the appearance. Again, I think Jazwares did such a great job at recreating this figure. They were given a goal, and I think they completed it perfectly. I love the sculpt work, how busy it is, all the different levels of line work and engravings, the layers on the leathers, on the shoulders. Just there's so much to appreciate and love about the visual presentation of this figure, because you can really see the hard work that Jazwares did put into it, and the paint job, I feel like, complements everything that I just talked about perfectly, with the red and the gold and the brown really giving off that Roman warrior aesthetic. And just again, I think Jazwares did such a great job with the visual presentation. I have a whole segment about it, so I'm not going to repeat myself. If you want to know how I feel really about the visual presentation of this figure, go check the visual presentation segment out if you haven't already. But after that, I think the accessories is another thing I really like about this figure. They could have given us just the assault rifle with the skin, and then a Halo Reach Magnum with the skin or whatever, but no, they really gave us accessories that came with this update that are themed around the armor of this Spartan, and they allowed us to even put it on the Spartan's arm. They really, with the handle on the shield, they really thought that out, and because they knew we were gonna let our Spartan hold the spear and the shield, so they just might as well make it work and make it functional. So again, I praise Jazwares for taking advantage of these back accessories and actually letting us use them as weapons and as what they're intended for. So thank you, Jazwares, for allowing us to take full advantage of these accessories. Even though we can only wear them in game, you're letting our figure hold them and look really cool with them. So spot on, man. And the only other thing I can think of outside of amazing visual presentation and amazing usage of accessories, and even going that extra mile of giving the assault rifle the Vexing Tomorrow skin, which again, I know it's just a normal assault rifle, but giving it the skin to really cater towards the aesthetic, again, thank you, Jazwares. That you didn't need to do that, yet you did, and it looks amazing. So spot on for y'all. Thank you very much. But yeah, no, the only other thing I can think of is the elbow articulation. Again, we're seeing this being improved with Wave 8, so I'm gonna bring it up in Wave 8 videos. After that, if I see it in Wave 9, I'm not gonna, because now that's a new standard, and it doesn't make it stick out from the crowd, because that is the standard, and that doesn't mean I dislike it any less. I will always appreciate what Wave 7 did with the improvement of knee articulation, and I will always praise Jazwares for taking that step in the right direction, just like how I'm praising them right now for fixing the elbow articulation and taking another step in the right direction. And we can only pray that with Wave 9 they fix the fucking torso articulation, because that would be phenomenal. So again, very happy that with Wave 8 they are fixing the elbow articulation, and we're actually being able to have our figures do shoulder taps and stuff like that. So But that all being said, that's pretty much all the positive, things that really stick out with this figure opposed from the rest of the Spartan collection, at least in my opinion. If you disagree or agree with anything that I have said, whether it's in the sour or positive segment of this video, please go down. Let's get a conversation rolling, talk about it. I love talking about this stuff, obviously, so I'll most likely reply to y'all's comments. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can really add to this figure. To give a quick summary of how I feel, I don't really have any issues with this figure except for the torso articulation. I love the usage of accessories. I love the visual execution. They put so much, effort into making this figure look great, and it really paid off. I love the, them going the extra mile of making the assault rifle fit the aesthetic of this figure, and I'm so happy that Wave 8 is, improving the elbow articulation. So this figure looks great, feels great, comes with amazing accessories, and definitely takes advantage of said accessories. So do I recommend this figure? Objectively, yes. Subjectively, also yes, because I enjoy this figure. I didn't think I was going to like this figure because I wasn't really big on the whole medieval, Roman Empire update that they did for MCC. I was very indifferent about it. So when I saw that they did a figure for this update, I was kind of like, meh, but I actually really grew to like this figure, and I do recommend it if you are a big Halo nerd like I am, and you just want to say you have this unique looking figure in your collection. It's definitely worth having because it was such an enjoyable figure. I had fun messing around with all the different accessories, having him hold the shield with the spear, the shield with the assault rifle, two-handing the spear stuff. I had a blast, working with this figure, and I can't recommend it anymore. So if you already have this figure already, do you like or dislike this figure, and what do you like or dislike about said figure? Again, go down below. Let's get a conversation started. And with all that said, let's move on to the outro. And if you enjoyed today's video, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. You don't have to comment. It's a lot of effort. I get it, moving your fingers on the keyboard. But if you want to comment anything, bounce off anything I did say during the video, you're more than welcome to. I'll most likely reply to y'all's comments because obviously I like talking about this stuff. And don't worry about the bell. We both know that shit is broken. And if you want to see more content like this, there's plenty of it up on the channel. I've already reviewed one figure in Wave 8, and I have reviewed all of Wave 7, and I've reviewed other Halo stuff as well. I also do Star Wars and NECA stuff as well. As for the realm of NECA, I mostly do Alien and Predator stuff, so if any of that does interest you, you're more welcome to go check that out. With all that being said, have a great day, and please stay hydrated. It's important.